What's happening, everybody? I'm glad to see you here at All Access Live with Kevin Rankin. I apologize to those of you that were jumping around and looking at the schedules that I posted. I have been out of sorts. I'm in Montana right now, and my schedule's just crazy, but I'm still all the way across the world for my next guest, and we're going to have a good time catching back up. It's been a long time. But before we do that, I want you to do two things for me. Number one, if you're coming from anywhere else other than YouTube, go to the link below, go to youtube.com/@accesskevin. You'll find over 300 episodes that you can check out. You can subscribe to this channel so you can be notified about upcoming conversations I'm having. You can go back through and look at the catalog. There's a ton of stuff from amazing artists and musicians and visionaries. And if you choose, you could become a member. So join the channel. You'll have exclusive benefits to things like backstage passes for upcoming shows, exclusive only members only conversations with folks like Kelly Keegy from Night Ranger, Cy Kernan from The Fix, Midge from Ultravox, and many more. I do want to thank Chuck Coverly. He's put together an amazing Kevy Metal shirt. So if you go to this QR code, go to this link, you can order yourself a Kevy Metal shirt. I didn't plan on having any merch, but I think it's fun that he put this together anyway. So go to the link below and check out Chuck's stuff. And also, I would love to let my sponsors know how much I appreciated their support. If you go to the link below, fivestarguitars.com/allaccesslive, everything you see there has a discount. And if you use the promo code of allaccess15, you're going to save 15% on checkout. And if you order outside Oregon, and you're looking online to buy guitars, accessories, repairs, anything like that, there's no sales tax. So you're saving a ton of dough by supporting them, and they've supported me. So let Five Star Guitars know how much you appreciate All Access Live. Now, my next guest is somebody that I revere. She's an amazing artist and one of the most incredible singers and songwriters I've ever met in my life. She's off camera right now, just asking me to build this up even more. So let me tell you, we last played together like 12 years ago. I got her all the way from the Netherlands. Here she is, Dilana. How you doing, sister?
I'm great. I'm so excited, Kevin. Oh my God, this is insane. It's been 12 years for sure.
Yep, it has been. I was looking through
Wow.
videos. We did that crazy rock fest show in Cadott, Wisconsin, and
Yes. Wow.
you took this massive arena concert stage outside, and that little Delana frame with the lion voice just took over the entire place. It was awesome,
Sweet. Thank you.
man.
That was a good days.
I haven't seen you without the dreads. The pink looks killer. I love it.
It's pink? No. They told me it was blonde.
My purple's all gone. I feel really, really out of style.
You feel
right
a little
now.
out. Yeah, I thought I noticed a little purple shimmer there. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I just thought, I need to be a little obvious. People need to see me a little. I want a little bit of attention, so I went with the
because you're such a dormouse, right?
Yes.
You just blend in the shadows. Man.
Right on.
I think I was talking to a bunch of people that we used to play with, just catching back up with them about the shows we did. Kevin Hahn, Jeff Buhner, Brandon Cook. You did shows with Mike Collins. So all the Oregon contingent, they miss you and love you. They said to say,
hey. Thank you. I miss and love them all too. When I lived in LA, we would at least get together once a year when we did NAMM. I always try to book them to come and play with me when I did that Shure booth. And now that I live here, and after COVID, the whole NAMM thing changed. So I don't get to see them that often. So yeah, I miss my brothers too. Very much.
Yeah, well, that was the last time I saw you. Was actually at the NAMM, that outdoor stage right out.
That's
it was
right.
Crazy hot, and you being mobbed by fans.
Your fans.
No, not my fans.
Yeah, I was being mobbed by your fans.
Well, you know what? Matty Rocks was actually. Matty was. He took you.
Matty
aside.
was there.
Yep,
that's right. Yes, Matty.
So, what part of the Netherlands are you in? Or can you tell?
No, of course I can tell. It's funny that you ask, because I've been living here for 7 years now on this farm in the northeastern side. It's like 2 hours away from Schiphol Airport. and
Okay.
I live on this beautiful farm with just green open pastures, cows, cattle, chickens. It's amazing. And this is where I've raised my daughter River. She's 10 now. And
Oh my God, she's
yeah,
10.
can you believe it? She's 10. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But it's been really wonderful. It's been a great place to raise her. But I'm actually moving this year. We're starting the process. River starts her new school next week. Um, and we'll be moving to the western side, which is like half an hour from Amsterdam
Oh,
and
nice.
20 minutes from the airport instead of over 2 hours drive now every time each way.
Wow.
So I'm very excited that I'm going to be closer to the action in the city. And it's been
Yeah.
nice, but River's getting older. She wants more. She's very creative, amazing dancer, singer, acro gymnast, and she wants to be an actress. So she wants to get into theater school and all that. So this is not the place to be for that. So that's why we're one of the reasons we're moving over that side. Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
with Kevin Hahn. I was in a band that we were stationed sort of near Enschede, I think,
Okay. Yeah.
and then we would sort of span out. We would do like Austin and run over to Antwerp and Belgium, and then
Oh,
go to
yeah.
Amsterdam and kind of do the spiral. And the
Yeah.
countryside is so beautiful. Oh my God, it
Really
I loved it
doesn't
there. I really
doesn't
did.
blow me away.
You don't
I
like the
have to be.
countryside?
I mean, I like the countryside, of course. I prefer it to big cities, but
Yeah.
I guess I'm really spoiled because I've been to Oregon, I've been
Yeah.
to Washington State, BC, Canada, grew up in Africa, and living in California. Oh my God! I mean, those canyons and those roads and the mountains. It's so flat here. I guess
Right.
I miss waterfalls and going for hikes on mountains and driving a little uphill and driving a little
Yeah.
downhill. So when people here go, "Oh my God, look how beautiful this is," and it's like this huge piece of grass, then
Yeah,
I'm always going, "Really?" In my mind,
well,
it doesn't really
well,
sink in.
coming from the States, like the architecture and the history and the
Yes,
culture that you see there, having 1,000 years of history versus just a couple hundred years helps
absolutely.
sort of appreciate that. And
Yes,
I
I do love the architecture, that's for sure, and the history. You're absolutely right with that.
tell me
Yeah.
about Africa. I know that there's a lot of good and bad that kind of came from that time. But when were you? How old were you when you left Africa?
I'm amazed that you know that. I was the first time that I left the country, and which was also the first time I ever went on an international trip, was right here to this exact community that I live in now.
Really?
Which is so funny. My very, very first gig in the Netherlands is a bike ride from here, and that was in 1994.
Okay.
So it's I was there today, walking on that exact square where I played for the first time, thinking, "Oh my God, I my very first time here was in 1994. My very first gig outside of Africa. My
Wow.
very first time I ever saw monitors and didn't know what the hell they were. The first time I heard myself. So yeah, I left Africa when I permanently moved away from there when I was 24 after the violence and the whole apartheid thing. I just couldn't anymore. I mean, I had been on survival mode basically my whole life, growing up in smack in the middle of apartheid. And then as a young adult, it just seemed to be getting worse because I guess I started understanding more.
Yeah.
And I had a girlfriend who had a little 3-year-old boy, a son, and she was 7 months pregnant and she got shot in the stomach.
My
And
God.
it was street violence in South Africa, carjacking. And for me, that was like the tip of the iceberg. That was for me, like I closed the book and I said, "That's it, I'm out of here." And that's when I left permanently. And I didn't go back for a long time. Took me a few years before I finally got the courage to go back. And I say courage because I had such fear. And I have to be honest, till until this day, every time I go back, I still taste that fear when I get there.
Really?
And I'm always watching my sex. I'm always super aware. Like my eyes go into a whole different mode. My ears, like all my senses are on high alert. And it's a beautiful, beautiful country, but it's really messed up. And now it's just seems to be getting worse. You know, the
Yeah.
apartheid's over. They have some brilliant people there now. The youth, the new generation. I'm amazed by them when I see them on CNN. You know, watching Inside Africa, which I'm a fan of, to catch up, to keep in touch a little. I'm amazed every time at how they've grown and how their use of the English language is just so brilliant, and their education and their skill and their creativity. It's like way beyond what I ever expected as a child. And I'm talking specifically about the black people there.
Yeah.
It was always very upsetting to me that they couldn't come to school and we couldn't hang out and we couldn't play together. And now I see that it's really turned around, and I love that. It makes me super happy and super proud. But the thing that irritates me is that no matter how many amazing smart people they are now, especially the new generation, it's like the older folk are just ignoring them, and the corruption is just incredible. I've
Oh
got
yeah.
friends who work in the government, and I have updates constantly about, oh, I got to work this morning, my whole desktop is missing, and so is the next person and the next person, and all the paintings are off the wall. That people are just stealing left, right, and center. You know, there's nothing to work from. Like it's just ridiculous, and it's really
You
sad.
know,
But
you talked about kind of being on guard all the time, and my heart kind of hurts for so many places in the world right now that are feeling that. You know, you look at
my God,
like Israel, Palestine. You look at areas in Africa, and you look at just
Haiti. Oh my God, look how
oh
bad
my
it is.
God, hate. Yeah,
Ah,
so I'm gonna
Jesus.
be honest with you, okay? For self-preservation a few years ago, about COVID time, I couldn't do it anymore. I stopped watching news. I couldn't do it. I was just and this is interesting, and I should tell you, like we played together 12 years ago. uh, I realized that my coping mechanisms were fucked up back then too. So I know that I couldn't handle stress. I couldn't handle pressure very well, and I
Mm.
was drinking. I would hide it a lot, and
Really?
so yeah, big time.
Wow,
And
Kev.
so I stopped
Wow.
almost 12 years ago,
Okay.
like 2 months after
Good boy.
we were playing together. But
Yeah.
in that time, I
Okay.
recognized that I because I couldn't handle stress and I looked at all the stuff that was outside my control, things that are happening,
Yeah.
global events, stuff that happened in COVID, I had to just cut out, okay, this part of my life out of control. I got to shut it away. Things like, having kids. I mean, you get this with River. I've got two
Yeah.
boys, 20, 24, 22. So much
Wow.
now at this point, man, like, and having
Jeez.
to, distance myself from being sort of caregiver for them, was
Yeah.
so tough, but I had to go, okay, they're old enough now. They can watch what I do. They can observe what I do. But they're not going to listen to what I say anymore. So I just got to live my life doing okay. Next right
Yeah.
thing, and part of that was turning off the news. I still
Yeah.
hear it about the political stuff, and man, there's so much political division
Oof.
here in the U.S. And I'm sure you see
Oh my
so much
God.
of it, right?
Oh
And
yes, I
like,
follow it religiously.
and I
Yeah.
couldn't, I couldn't, man. When we were traveling, I love to get outside. I've done a lot of international travel the last few years, and I look at how
Okay.
places, um, like looking in Europe, and you see how like England was very much like the U.S. in terms of like the Democratic and Republican, sort of the left and right, liberal and
Yeah.
conservative groups,
Right.
you know, but there wasn't so much hatred that they would want to kill the other side, right? I
Wow.
mean,
Like in the
there's so
US, it's insane. Oh my God.
it's in,
Yes.
well, and so
Wow.
you moved to Texas of all places, right? Which has really, there's a lot of division there too, man. So what brought you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Texas
Yeah.
from Europe?
I actually met my now ex-husband, and he was from Houma, Louisiana, and he was at the time living in Scotland, and I was still here in the Netherlands. And when we met and got married, we were living in Scotland, and then at that point, 9/11 happened, and he instantly wanted to move back to the States to be closer to his family. But he was working in the oil field, and he got a transfer through his job to go to Houston, Texas, because it's another oil hub. And I had no idea what I was walking into. I didn't even know that oil guys were bad at that time. It's
Yeah.
only later I was
Well,
like, whoa, wait a minute. I was always just so in my own world, just being creative. I never got into political stuff, and I still try not to do
yeah.
it too much. It just
Sure.
causes problems. I get yelled at that I should sing and not talk. That, anyway,
And
that's a
you
whole
also
other
have
episode.
you're human and have feelings and compassionate. So
Yeah, and I'm not allowed to open my mouth. But anyway, so I moved to Houston, and at first, wow, it was a huge culture shock. I was cracking jokes about, at the time, Bush on stage, just
oh
stuff that I
God.
I had no idea. So I'm like, yeah, and I was doing a one chick show then, and I was like
Yeah.
cracking all these jokes, and then the audience would be dead quiet, and I was like, oh wow, they're not like the Dutch people. They don't really laugh at my jokes. And I
They're all
saw
on his
my husband
payroll.
in the audience going, oh no, what is she doing? And then I started realizing and learning, oh, okay, Texas, Republican, this, that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And then I must be honest, I have some brilliant friends in Texas. I mean,
Sure.
and most of them
There are
are
some really good people
Republicans.
there.
There are some amazing people, and I try really hard not to judge people for
Yeah.
what political party they're with. But I have to be honest, when it's a Trumpy, it's very hard for me. I mean, I can talk to Republicans, I can't deal with Trumpies. And
That's a different thing.
phew,
Yeah.
it's a whole different ballgame. And I really notice the difference. I really do. Republicans can sit
Yeah.
down and have a decent conversation with brains. And when I talk to
Yeah.
Trumpies, it just, you can't win. There's just no way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and I won't shut up about that. So, but yeah, moving from Holland, from Amsterdam really back then to Houston was like, whoa, door in my face.
Were you gigging quite a bit then?
Oh, I was gigging like crazy. It's the busiest I ever was. It was the most money I ever made
Okay.
because I didn't have a label. I didn't have a manager. I didn't have anything or anybody. I had my own pickup, Chevy pickup. I had my own little PA. I had my own merch. I was the boss of me. And it was fantastic. I would go back
Yeah.
in a heartbeat to those days when I had all the control of my life.
That well, it's interesting to think about your process, and you might not remember, but you and we had some really deep conversations about your
We did.
whole your timeline. Yeah, I mean, just like
Okay.
some heavy ones after shows, especially, right, where we talk about like the beauty of certain parts of shows, and then how fucked up some stuff was after and all that. But
Oh, yes.
you know who else did? Because I see that Jeff Buhner just joined in on the Instagram chat. So that
Oh,
good to see you,
really?
Jeff. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Hey,
he's
Jeff.
he's at a music expo conference in LA right now, working on his
Oh,
stuff. So
cool.
good.
Okay. Good
And
stuff.
honestly, I have it. I have Jeff to thank for connecting us. But
That's right.
do you remember where you and I first met?
I'm sorry. No. At
No,
Jeff
it's
Buhner's
all right.
house.
No, no. Before that, I had done some work with Storm Large in Portland, and
Yes,
I
I
came
remember
down to
that.
LA, and I came down to a taping of Rockstar Supernova, and I'd been watching the show religiously, and I'd seen you perform. But at the
Okay.
show, Jill on the show, and well, Nate Morton and I became
Oh,
dear
Nate.
friends at that
Yes.
point. So I had to go back and check out Nate's kit and get to know him a little bit. And Jill pulled me aside. We talked for a little bit, and I remember seeing you talking with the other contestants off camera. They weren't filming at that point, and I
Okay.
was like, this girl does not hide in the shadows, man. I mean, they had this persona they put together on the show, right? So they put you
Yeah.
together
Oh
as
my
like
God.
just just like
Supergirl.
whirling dervishes, like Tasmanian devil. But
Yes.
you were like that off camera. And I was like, oh man, this is not Hollywood editing, man. This she's really like that. So
Yeah, I'm
like,
really real.
how did that whole thing happen? Did you compete or did you audition for the show? And tell me about the process
That
of
was an
getting on the
interesting
show.
that was a really interesting process. I actually like telling this story, even though it's so old. I was doing the one chick show in Texas that I was just telling you about. I was working really hard, um, sometimes 7 nights a week, and just making money and having fun. And then I religiously recorded Rockstar in Excess every Tuesday night because I was
Yeah.
working at that point. So on Wednesday mornings, I would watch it back, and I would catch myself sitting in front of the TV going, "Oh my God, you should have done this, and you should have jumped here, and you should have done this move, and you should have done this note," and they're constantly talking to the TV. And I was like, and sometimes I was like, "Oh fuck, that sucked." I would kill that song, you know. I was like just having this conversation with myself. Sometimes it was a comedy. And by the end of that series, I watched the last episode, and I remember being so bummed because I really wanted Jordis to win. I was like a
Yeah.
Jordis freak.
Yeah.
And then I saw this thing coming up, the credits, you know, and at the very end it said, if you think you've got what it takes to be on the next rock star, send your whatever, your stuff to this email or this address. And I paused the video and I wrote it all down. And then it took me a while because I never in my life did anything like that. And I thought, I'm like the last person on the planet to go and show myself off. I really still today, it's very uncomfortable for me to do that. I can't sell myself. I do it on stage when I'm singing, but behind the scenes, I can't do that. So I thought, okay, well, you know, what's it going to hurt? I just need to make a little video. I need to send in some songs, little bio, a few pictures. So I did the whole
You were still in
package
Texas
thing.
then, right?
Yes, I was still in
Okay.
Houston.
Yeah.
And so I sent it all in, and it was months later, and I completely forgot about it. And I went to my hair salon to get my dreads tightened up. And my hairstylist says, "Hey, whatever happened with that your stuff that you sent in?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "I forgot all about that." Yeah, well, I didn't hear anything, so I guess they didn't even look at it. That's what they do. They just throw your things aside and they don't give a shit, you know?
Yeah.
I kid you not, Kevin, the very next day I got a phone call. The very
Wow.
next day. And it was at my gig, and I'll never forget. It was a steakhouse in Houston. It was a what do you call it when you play there every week? Um,
Residency?
a residency gig, and I
Yeah.
played there for like 2 years straight, every Tuesday, sold
Okay.
out venue. And so I'm about to start my first song, and my phone rings. So I look at the audience and I go, "I'm really sorry, but this is a number from Hollywood. I I'm gonna pause
No.
and I'll be right back, but I have to answer this." And I'm like running outside and I go, "Hi, this is Dilana." And there's this girl's voice and she goes, "Hey, Dilana, this is blah, blah, blah from a da 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 casting agency. And we're calling to tell you that you've been accepted for to be on Rockstar Supernova. We got your stuff and we're very excited for you to come and audition and blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I said, "Oh, no, I can't." And she goes, what did you say?" I said, "I can't. I just today went to the store and bought all my stuff, like my hiking boots and things, because I'm gonna climb Mount Machu Picchu in Peru in that
No.
time. I can't." She's like, she
Oh my
goes,
God.
"Dilana, take a breath and listen to what I just said." And she repeated everything. And she goes, "Are you telling me that you're not interested?" And I was like, and then it hit me like, oh my God, I have to go audition for all this stuff, you know?
Wow.
So I read, and the last thing she said to me was, "Make sure you don't tell a soul. There's a confidentiality agreement attached to this. You cannot tell anybody." What do you think is the first thing I did?
Yeah, you're on stage. Guess what I
I
just got
ran
a
and said,
call from?
"Oh my God."
Oh my God. Wow. How much time did you
Oh,
have from that point till the time you auditioned?
well, not too much. It took like 6 months of multiple auditions, but I never had to
Okay.
stand in the line. I got a VIP audition each round, because they selected me for not standing in the row. You know, everyone else
Yeah.
could just go stand in the line with their stuff. And so I remember the first one. I was actually here in Holland recording with my guitarist, who I'm still working with today. And we were in the studio, and suddenly I got a call that I've got to be in Austin on this and this date for the first round of auditions. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in Holland
Wow.
recording. Well, you're there or you're out. And so we rushed the recordings. I got on the plane and flew to Austin. And when I landed in Austin, it was a private audition. So it wasn't one of the places where they had all the hundreds of people queuing.
Yeah.
I got sick as a dog on the plane and
Oh
I coughed the
no.
whole way there. So when I got there, I barely had a voice. And this happens to me every time something important happens and I fly, I lose my voice. God knows why. But I walked in and I said, I'm really sorry. I can barely talk. And they're like, oh no. They go, Dilana, you have to do something. You have even, and we'll put it in there that you're sick, but we know what you can do. So
Yeah.
what you need to do is sell us with the one-on-one interview because we're going to get like a 3-minute interview. So I went and on camera, I sang something. I think I did LA Song by Beth Hart. And then I
Okay.
went and did the little interview. So that was one round. And then came the next round. And the next round was in LA.
Hold
And
on, before you go
that's,
on there, let me
yeah.
ask you. You did the interview. Did you kind of feel a little bit reserved, like do I want to be my full Dilana, or do I want to hold back, or or you were just like, I'm going to be myself, and all right. Do you remember the kind of stuff they were asking you? Were they trying to bait you to be dramatic?
No, no, not then. They were more asking about family life and more personal things,
Okay, all right, yeah, okay,
artists that I admired and my music choice and what I do for a living and stuff like that. But I totally was 100% Delana. I mean, I don't know how to be any other way. I'm
right,
a little
yeah. No, I
tamer
didn't
now.
expect it. Parenthood
And
does
they
that.
loved it. They loved it because they said, "Man, you're just like so out there. You're just like so yourself. We think this interview is really going to work." I remember doing something like because my voice was so messed up. I remember doing like this. You want to swim with the fishes, kind of thing,
Yeah, Delana, the mobster. Right on.
Yeah,
All right. So,
I said
so,
something
so the
like,
next,
if you don't pick me, you're going to swim with the fishes. Something like
nice.
that.
Yeah. I understand the intimidation. That's why. All right. So they got you on to the next round. You go to LA and you go.
Yeah, and
Was it at that?
that's when I saw all the other contestants. Among all
Okay.
there were still there were still hundreds of each
Wow.
time they narrowed it down, right? There were 25,000 people originally.
Jeez.
And then when we got to LA, they had got it down to a few hundred. And then we had to go back another time to LA, and it was much less. And then they were picking the top 15, like the final cost. And I remember seeing, we were sitting on these chairs in some room, and someone from CBS was talking to us. And I remember there was maybe 30, 40 people in the room, and Lucas was in that room.
Hmm.
And I remember looking at Lucas and thinking, there's my competition.
Really? You knew
I
then?
swear I'll never forget it. And I told him that. I told him that later on when we were on the show finally. I told him, I sat behind you, or I sat in that room and I saw you and I thought, that guy's my competition. And I remember seeing Storm because we were up. This is so Storm, you're going to love it. We were up by the pool, but we weren't allowed to talk to each other. So all these um, uh, PAs were walking around with little headsets and watching us. And they gave us this huge briefing about no communication with each other,
Really?
not even
Why
like
is that, you
hand
think?
signs, because they want to keep everything for camera when it
Okay. All
finally
right.
gets to the screen, the
Yeah.
anticipation, the curiosity. So I remember all these PAs being around the pool, and we all could see each other, but we weren't allowed to talk. And I remember Storm coming out in this tiny bathing suit
Of
and
course.
started doing yoga by the
Oh God.
pool, but like
Yeah.
yoga.
And no cameras running. This is just her. That was
No,
her introduction.
no,
Yeah.
and like I was thinking, God, what is that chick doing? Is she trying to intimidate us? Like, is she
Yeah.
trying to? Is that her trick? But I also remember thinking, man, she's gorgeous. Look at that body, and like really thinking, oh my God. And later on, Storm and I became best buddies on that show. She was like my big sister, and we were the two old ladies on the show at the time, and we were in our mid 30s.
God,
But yeah, can you believe it? But it was really cool. And then when they finally picked the top 15, I remember having my final show in that same steakhouse, and I told everybody that I already had mentioned a week before that it was going to be my final show. So the place was beyond sold out, and people were like just sitting on the tables everywhere, and the atmosphere was so magical. And I remember telling everybody, and everyone cried. I cried because that place was like a little part of me. You know, it was such a thing every Tuesday night. That was our night, and telling everybody that I'm leaving and I'm going to be on the show. And they had told me that they're going to have Tuesday night big screen events there, so everyone could come and watch me and
oh,
support me.
nice.
Yeah, it was great. And that night I left with my tip jar. And I went home, and I used to, every Tuesday after my gig, I would empty the tip jar on my carpet and like sit and make piles of money and then go hand it in on Monday at the bank. And they thought I was a stripper at first,
Right.
all the
Yeah,
one
all
dollar
these
bills.
singles. Yeah.
And that night I made over 3 grand in tips. And
Holy shit.
one was $1,000 check. And I thought, yeah, right, this one's going to bounce all the way to Egypt. Well, that check never bounced. And during the tapings, the man who gave me that check and his entire family flew over to one of the tapings to
No
come and
kidding.
support me. It was so just
Wow.
magical. That's what I mean by some people in Houston are just really unbelievable, beautiful people.
You
So
know, like
yeah,
I think all of those beautiful people get stuck in Houston. That's what I believe. I do because I've met
well,
amazing
because the money
people.
talks over there.
It's my
Money
least
talks in
favorite city.
Houston.
Yeah, in most places, for
Mm,
sure. But I think having gotten to see you that many times too, people get a chance to feel like they know you, they feel like they're a community and part of your family. So um,
absolutely.
because I watched that a lot with you when we did shows together, and I watched the community that you built and the people that would come out. And
Yeah.
I think you'll totally appreciate this. I think um, you embrace these people in a way that some people don't, right? Some people are aloof and they just kind of keep fans distant,
Yeah.
but you welcome people in, and they
Wow.
transition from fan to friend in a real, um, you know,
I'm
in
so
a
impressed
pretty
with you,
profound
Kevin.
way.
I'm really
Well,
impressed with you. It's been so many years, and you're saying things that I know for sure are a fact, and it's been that way my entire career. I hear it every single day, every single show. I After every one of my shows that I do, I'm touring theaters, and after every intense 2 hour nonstop show, I'm back in my change room for 5 minutes, pee, freshen up, and then I'm out in the theater foyer, and I'm meeting people. I'm taking pictures. I'm the first person there. I'm the last person to leave.
yeah,
And so I'm
yeah,
working from 2 in the afternoon until 8 or 8:30 when the show starts. Another 2 hours, and then I'm back talking to people for another 2 hours. And I get out like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I do
that's
this all the time. So I know my fans. I even hate the word fans. I really do.
I
It makes
know.
me feel like I have an ego, but it's I see them as music lovers, and like you just said, very often they become friends. And I have made dear friends along the way who just started out as fans. You know,
Yeah, I
some.
honestly, I had that conversation with my girlfriend, the gal that I'm dating, didn't
Oh,
understand that that experience because in her eyes, right, there's in her eyes the musicians are out there and they're hooking up and it's just about like
oh yeah, sex, drugs, and rock
the
and
chase.
roll.
Totally.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
for me, and I think we're the same way that I am so grateful that people are willing to come out, spend their hard-earned money, fly in for a show, get a hotel room, get
right.
a babysitter, whatever. And if they're willing to sacrifice those things in support of what you're doing, by all means, I want to go out there and let them know how much I appreciate it. I'm grateful.
Absolutely.
And it's not
And
like I want to
how
go
could
out.
we have a living if we didn't have these people, right? How would
Oh
we
my
even
God.
be able to do what we do? And
I'm
I
telling you.
actually clearly
Yeah.
remember how you were too, Kevin. I remember you were always, and I don't mean this in an insulting way. You were the soft one,
Sure.
and when I mean soft,
Yeah.
when I say
For
soft, I
sure.
mean your heart. You have a
Yeah.
beautiful heart, and I remember that you were always the one that would see people and talk about people in a loving way, and say, "Oh, look at that guy. He looks like he's had a rough day," or, And then after the show, you would be right there with me, talking to
Yeah.
people, giving hugs and high fives, and you were always in with the people too, and even with the bandmates. You've always been
Yeah.
the one who keeps everything together and smiling and keeping it calm. And I really remember. Maybe that's why I didn't like working with you. We're just not mean enough.
Well, you know what?
No, I always
I,
loved working with you. You know that.
I
No.
think the emotional part of though, and that was what I was kind of getting to, was that I have regrets about the way that I sort of handled stuff afterwards too. We had some volatility online, and uh, I think I
We
let
did?
my emotions. Well, some people posted some
Remind
stuff,
me.
and yeah, well, uh, as one of those fans was posting stuff, I said some stuff to you, and I think the thing was I was very soft and emotional, and I wish that I had just, rather than even respond, to what stuff was happening on chat, I wish I would have taken you aside, like you and I did in Seattle. We had a show at the
Oh,
remember
that.
that at El
Oh my
Corazon,
God.
and all the
Oh,
technology stuff was going on. Like the sound guy had butchered like
oh,
numbers, and
I
you
was
went
so
off on him.
upset. Yes,
And I went back to the hotel, and I went down to your room, and I was talking to you about this,
I
and
was in tears.
I remember, and if
Yeah,
my memory about that was that um, you finally just you opened up and you said, "Man, I work so fucking hard at this. I try so hard to do everything I can to give everybody the best experience. I try, but I am me, and I'm gonna be who I am, and hopefully be appreciated for that."
yeah,
And I remember talking to you about that. Like in a way, you were your greatest asset because of your talent and your skill, and in a way because, like you mentioned earlier, you're an artist and not a marketer. You could be your own worst enemy at
right.
times, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
that's a hard thing to face, man. And
Yeah. Oh man. A-
but
And sometimes when you're just being really honest and being yourself, I can go really far without finally just losing it when I feel like no one's listening, no one's paying attention. I'm not being heard, like a sound guy, or
yeah,
whoever. But when it gets to the point where it's actually interfering with my performance, that's when I'm going to stretch my mouth after
yeah,
repeatedly saying the same thing. Like, dude, please, can you give me some reverb? Can you put this louder? Can you turn this down? And if people don't listen, I'm going to get to that point where I just can't, I'm going to erupt. And then I'm the bitch. But um,
well,
was that the night in Seattle when I said I'm quitting? That's it. I don't want to do this anymore.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
then we all got together in one of the hotel rooms, and I was just bawling, and I'm like, no,
yeah,
I'm done. Oh my God, that was
yeah,
and that was with Suzanne still, my friend Suzanne.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that experience, that
that was
feeling you
heavy.
had. So I'm here in Montana with my dad right now. My dad's a painter and
Yeah,
printmaker, and that conversation you had, I remember my dad just feeling like, as an abstract expressionist, he doesn't do commercial art, right? And so he was not the type of person that would go out and try to market his art and sell his art. And it's frustrating to see his contemporaries out there, selling pictures of horses and making millions of dollars off it, and just
right.
like, what the fuck do I have to do?
Yeah,
And we've
so
all, as
frustrating.
musicians, we've all been at a point where we're like, okay, I'm done
That's
with
it.
this, man. Like, done with the
Right,
drama. I'm gonna go like, work a day job, and have somebody tell me what to do, but I'll collect my check and go home and be done with it.
right.
And we both know that we were put on this planet to do one thing, and it's what you're doing right now. And
Absolutely,
I regarding
absolutely.
your show. So you've been doing these theater shows, and tell me
Yeah,
about that experience, how that relates versus the club gigs that you're doing, or the big auditorium gigs.
yeah. It's wow. It's a really new thing for me, and I'm still doing club gigs and festivals because
Yeah,
as an artist, I really feel that I need that balance because the theater world is. really very different. It's an older audience, a more
Seated.
seated, um, and most of the time, like the first few songs, they're very stern. You don't. I like to
Yeah.
make eye contact and even physical contact with people. And but in theaters, sometimes it's really hard to do because I can't read the audience at times. They're just sitting there staring and no
Yeah.
emotion. And in the beginning, I shat myself. Every show, I was like, my heart racing. And the very first show, I messed up so bad. I forgot to turn my mic on. I dropped the guitar. I mean,
Oh,
forgot the first show, first
yeah.
song. It was like, fuck
Oh my
me.
God.
It was
Oh my
horrible.
God.
But it ended up being a great show. But now I get it. I know what it's about. It's like an oiled machine for me now. I really love the theater. And the more I see that the audience is like, the more I get into their
Yeah.
faces.
You're
And
working it.
I'm working it, buddy. But to the
Yeah.
point where, I mean, not to the point where I have have to not be me. I
Yeah.
just go deeper into the me, which is the more shocking, like, what the fuck me, you know? And
Right.
then
Yeah.
at that moment when even I'm wondering what the hell's going to come out of my mouth next, it's scary.
It,
But
well, that's how
it's
I mean,
going,
people would come away from shows in the past. I remember them walking away or coming up to you after the show saying, "Holy shit, what did I
yeah.
just see? Like, where did you come from?" You know, and
Yeah.
because they're not used to that. Even in
No.
now, where like sensationalism and rock and roll and everything is
Yes,
dramatic. You know, yeah, I mean, you've been dramatic and theatrical regardless of whether you were on, on a theater
absolutely.
show.
It's
But
a, it's like second nature for me, and I get what you just said. I get that all the time in the theaters. People are like,
no,
wait, how old are you? And I'm like
right,
51, and they're like, no way. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, because I'm jumping and I'm climbing things and I'm rolling on my back and kicking my legs and I've nonstop energy and um, I'm just so myself, and that's the thing that I love that people come and say to me every night. Dilana, it's just so refreshing to see an artist who's here right now. I can talk to you, I can touch
yeah,
you, and you're exactly now as you are on stage. I I don't fake anything. It's so damn
yeah,
easy, actually. It's really,
yeah,
really easy. So this theater world, although it's a new thing, I feel like this is definitely my future, and maybe now that I'm older, um, it seems to be the next 20 years of my life will be theater. And right now I'm doing my first tour, solo tour with my band called the Legendary Women of Rock. So I've picked out some of my favorite artists and I sing their songs and I tell stories about I compare my life, my stories and their lives and our lives to each other and the things we have in common. And you'd be amazed at how many things we have in common. We're all 5'2", which is awesome.
all the women that you're paying tribute to, like,
All the women I'm paying tribute to are
okay,
5'2" or
so who are they?
5'3". So I'm doing Tina Turner, Cyndi Lauper, Stevie Nicks, um, uh, Pat Benatar, um, Dolores O'Riordan,
Of course,
and then a few of my own songs. So
I would
yeah,
hope so. God,
yeah,
that
absolutely.
I didn't realize they were all that same height. That's funny. I've met Cindy a few times and Pat, and yeah, both
They're
powerhouses,
tiny,
and
right?
they are tiny, but
Yeah,
voice of a lion.
but
Oh,
the
speaking of her,
voices. Mm.
did you see that documentary that came out a couple months ago about the We Are the World? It was on Netflix, and remember We Are the World, the big tribute to end world
Yes,
hunger.
the band.
And yeah,
Yes,
so and they brought in all these artists, and Cyndi Lauper was one of the outliers that
yes, I remember her line.
did the documentary is amazing. It's so fun. But when you
Really?
see watch the documentary, I'm telling you, you will love it. It's uh, every character in it, it was profound. But Cindy
Oh,
was
I
one of
love
those
her.
like she came in and zero fucks given, right? I mean, she was going to be
Ah,
who
I
she was.
love it.
She had all the bangles and necklaces, and there was a part where they're trying to track Quincy Jones is producing the thing, and they're saying there's some kind of weird rattle in the
Kling-a-ling-a-ling.
room. Yeah, and it was her earring. But yeah,
Love
and
it.
she's like, "Oh, is it my stuff? Oh my god. Okay, I'm sorry." And
I'm
but
sorry.
yeah, have you met Sin?
No, ironically,
I,
I've seen her live. I was like
yeah,
a meter away from her, and I did a in New York. I did a Sirius FM live thing, and she was in the room across from me, and I was like, because all the walls are glass, so you could see all this
yeah.
everyone in the studios, and I was like, oh my god.
I don't
No,
think
but
a room. I don't think in physical space a room could handle the two of you together. The energy would just they could spontaneously combust.
yeah, I must
But
agree. I think we would just explode together. I really dig her. I really love what she stands for, and the things that we have in common, as I tell in my theater show. We both lost a dear friend, my friend I talked about earlier, and her friend from AIDS, hence True Colors. But
yeah,
we both left home at a very young age to survive. And we both fight for gay rights very strongly. So yeah, there were a lot of things that in the show that I really don't even have to think about. They just like when I do the Tina Turner, she was my biggest example in my life as a small
really.
child already. So when I sing
Okay.
Tina, it's like I can't explain it, and it sounds really crazy, and people gonna think I'm talking shit. But the minute I start the first line on a Tina song, I feel like I'm having an out of body experience. Like I just
Wow.
feel so extremely connected to that woman. And I know she's passed away now, but somehow there's something like I believe in like 6 degrees of separation. I just feel like somewhere we must have met somehow because I hear it in the theater too. People, like huge Tina fans, they're wearing Tina Turner t shirts. They're coming to me and they're like, oh my God, I closed my eyes and I heard Tina, and I opened my eyes and I saw Tina. And there's so many
Channeling.
Tina Turner, yeah, totally. There's so many Tina shows and tributes, and I hate those things. And I just got asked yesterday to do a Tina Turner tribute thing, and I said no, because I'm not going to go do it just because someone wants me to do it, a whole tribute show.
Sure.
I do it in my
Yeah.
show to pay my respect and honor her because that's what the show's about. But I'm not going to go do a Tina tribute show. But I really definitely feel like there's some thing between Tina and I, and it sounds insane. And I'm not
Well,
all
no, I don't think it does sound.
thrifty.
No, I mean, when when somebody has affected you, you talk about being driven from like the same sort of source, and I think when it's not like you're taking influence and trying to sound like someone, when you think about bands that are paying tribute and dressing up and all that, but if
Yeah,
somebody's affected you in a really profound way, in kind of a spiritual way, right, where your soul
definitely
has been
spiritual.
changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't feel like that's so woo woo.
Okay,
If they've
thanks.
affected you in a real well, I mean I had a recent episode on the show talking about Bigfoot, and that was a little woo woo, but I I I,
Talking about
I
Bigfoot for real?
we had an episode. Yeah, I just had an episode where a documentary filmmaker was talking about his new film where some people were insistent that Bigfoot came from spapeships, and I was like, all right, well,
Okay,
it was
let's
interesting.
hear it.
That was woo. But if somebody at an early age affected you, because you grew up in South Africa, right? So you
Yeah,
witnessed everything that went on around you. You looked at how
yeah,
the culture was affected, and apartheid really affected your childhood and who you could hang out
absolutely.
with, and how um, so much of our lives are dictated just by the roll of the dice, right? When we're kids,
Yeah,
um, like me in America, I'm a white male, grew up in America, right? I didn't have the hardships that somebody that might have grown up in a different area with a different sexual preference or a different gender or a different color of my skin, and
right.
so I respect and honor everyone when I see the hardships that they'd had to go through. When I think about you growing up in South Africa, I would think if you wanted to be a, a an artist, for a career, and you're going to go out and communicate your art, you've got to have balls of steel. You got to have tenacity. You've got to have so much persistence. I think anywhere, but I mean, coming out from that, where you talked about kind of being on guard all the time, and um,
Yeah,
I would imagine River probably draws a lot of massive feminine energy, from you in terms of like holding your own and
Whoa, yes.
yeah, yeah. Did
Absolutely.
she come to your?
Yeah.
Has she been to your theater shows?
Multiple times, to the
Okay.
point where she doesn't even come and sit in the show anymore. She doesn't even come into the wings. Every now and again, she'll like pop her head out and give me a little wave. And then she goes backstage and she's watching makeup tutorials on YouTube or playing Roblox or chatting to her friends. It's but she's still amazing, you know. I see now when I look at her, I really noticed how she's watched me her whole
Mhm.
life.
Yeah,
She does things, she says things, her little expressions, her body language. I just see me. She's like a really perfect mini me. And I'm not saying
yeah,
I'm perfect, but she's a perfect mini me. And she's definitely not afraid, not shy, great manners, very respectful, but a, a firecracker, dude. Oh my
yeah.
God.
I can't
It's a
imagine. Well,
firecracker.
your experience with her, it sounds a lot like what I've seen with Pink. Pink has
Yeah,
taken her kids with her on the road and
yes,
raising. I
absolutely. Yeah,
watched.
I saw that documentary and I was like, oh my
Yeah,
God, I can so relate to all this stuff, except I didn't have a nanny. But
right.
yeah, but it's very similar. And it's so cool the way she's raising her daughter. Um,
Yeah,
what's her name again? Willow. The
yeah,
way she's raising Willow, and also when Willow went through the phase where she was questioning her sexuality, and Pink just rolled with it. I
yeah,
thought that was really awesome, and to where Willow finally came back to being a girl again. You know, you just sometimes
yeah,
you just have to go with it and see what happens because we'll go through phases, and that's what's a beautiful and important thing about being a great mom is, you know,
yeah.
we're not perfect, but we allow our children to have freedom of speech, freedom of who they are, you know, just freedom of expression. That to me is so important. And I must be honest, in this little village where we live, it's been a big problem.
Has it?
Um, yeah, it really has. It's one of the reasons why we're actually leaving. It's just, um, it's a very farmer community here. There's a lot of cattle farming and Um, you know, when I first showed up here 7 years ago, I had the long dreadlocks with multiple colors and all my tattoos, and I had all these piercings, which I've now removed. But I instantly got all the looks,
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's been 7 years, and I haven't made any friends here in
Wow,
this
you're not
village.
from around
I've got two.
here.
My neighbor is amazing, and I've got one other friend. But when I go to the west, to where I'm moving to, oh my God, I'm not even noticed. Everyone's kind
Right.
of woohoo out there.
Yeah.
But living here and with River too, she's just like me, you know. So she goes to school and she's so much more advanced because she grew up on the road. She grew up
Right.
on stage, sleeping in my guitar case, and sleeping on
Wow.
amplifiers, you know, being in the van on tours with the guys. And um, she's just so open-minded and ahead of her time. So the kids don't get her, and they've basically been bullying her for a long time. And I've tried everything possible with
Ugh.
the schools, and it's been a rough ride for us, but mostly for River, and that's what kills me. But
That's the hardest thing about being a parent, man. Looking at
oh, dude,
yeah,
seriously, huh?
talk about helplessness, right? Yeah, it's because
Ah,
you want to go
man.
in and yeah,
I just want to go into that school with my legs stretched out and kicking in the faces, you know, and then I'm like,
right.
fuck it, you know, I can't, my kid's going to be the one who suffers from my actions. So it teaches you to think twice, do things differently, but man, it's hard for me to shut my mouth. So
You know,
we've just got to the next step where I'm like, let's just get the hell out of here. And I'm not running from my problems, but I know that the mentality here is different from the
yeah,
mentality of a city life with creative juices and vibes and energies, you know. So that's what we're doing.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I talk to my kids about that a lot. Both my kids grew up red hair. Of course, they're going to get teased for having red hair. And my
Right.
oldest, I would tell him, I said, "Here's the thing. in this age, right, when you're 14, 15, 16, you're getting into, you're going through puberty. Nothing makes sense anyway. And people are
Right.
dicks. They just are, right? Because they don't
People are
even know
so
their own
mean.
identity. But
Hell
once
yeah.
you get out of school, once you get out of like high school, people are then drawn towards the things that are of interest to them and where their passions take them. And you're going to find that's
Right.
completely different, and so that light at the end of the tunnel was what I was trying to get my kids, man, this does not define the rest of your life. I promise you. Like, these
Right.
small town people. But
But
when
even
we
while
talk
you're
about,
saying it, you know
oh
that they're not, because I remember me when my mom used to say things
yeah,
like that, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, whatever. It would go in and out. So even while I'm
yeah,
saying it to River, I'm thinking she's thinking, yeah, whatever, mom. But maybe if I keep saying it,
yeah.
it'll stick, you know?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, like I said before, the only thing that you can really do is just live your life in the way that you would hope they would pattern, good behavior from. And
absolutely. Yes.
were your parents understanding? Were they open minded with you? And no, not at all, huh?
Mm-mm.
What was that like growing up with your personality and a parent that didn't understand you?
Kevin, my brother, that's a whole different conversation. Let's not go
All
there.
right. Okay.
I
No
just I
problem.
just had an EMDR session today about my childhood, so you can
Okay.
imagine.
Yeah.
It's just too intense to talk about. But I let's just say I was a complete rebel, and I left when I was 15. I literally ran away and never ever went back. So
No communication with parent after that? Like,
I never had a dad to begin with, and my mom was not there. She just wasn't
okay.
there. You know,
Yeah.
she was there, but she was never present. So it was
So
tough.
that probably makes parenting River that much more important to you, that you've got a connection. And yeah,
Bingo.
yeah.
So
I
much
would
more. It's
bet
everything.
you is she musically inclined?
Oh my God, yes. She's
Yeah, okay.
amazing and she sings amazingly. She's jumped up on stage a few times. The older she's getting, the less she wants to do it. But when she was 3, we were in Germany, huge venue, thousands of people. I was with my all girls band from Portugal at that point. River came backstage with the cordless microphone in her hand, with her little baby voice. She goes, "Mommy, can I open for your show tonight?" And I was
Okay.
like, "Really?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "Shall I come with you? I'll walk out with you." "No, no, no, no. I want to do it alone."
Wow.
And I go, "Well, what are you going to sing?" She goes, "My own song." And I go, "Well, what song is it?" It's online somewhere. And she goes, "It's called Sunshine." So I'm like, "Okay." So she walks out onto the stage, fearless, and she goes, "Hello, everybody." It was in Germany. And these Germans are like, "What the hell?" And she goes, "I'm going to sing a song. It's my own song called Sunshine." And the whole song, I had to finally pick her up and carry her off the stage. The whole song was Sunshine.
That's all
Sunshine,
she said.
sunshine, 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 sunshine. And you should have heard the audience. They went crazy. It was the best opener I ever had.
And you gave your daughter the cane. You came and brought her off, and like that.
I was like, "Come on, you're stealing my show, girl."
She's gonna have. That's
Yeah,
a
the
fun
cane.
memory for her.
Oh, it's
The
such a great memory. So yeah, but she's very musical. She has the most excellent rhythm. You as a drummer would love her.
really.
Yes, really. And she dances and she competes in dancing, and it's just insane what this girl does. So, and she's written some songs. There's one that she wrote in the in the COVID times, and it's online called uh, uh,
My only
shit,
sunshine. No, I'm kidding.
my COVID sunshine. Like it's about COVID, and I
Okay.
made this little amateur video, and I was playing the ukulele, and I was in the kitchen here practicing how to play ukulele, and then she started singing, and so I hit record, and that was it. I recorded the whole song here in the kitchen, and
That
then I was like, I'm
that
gonna make a video.
is that what you were doing during COVID? Did you and River stay home and just kind of like
We made
write
music.
music?
Oh my God,
Right.
it was all about music. I actually went to Germany most of the times. I had a little, I call it my COVID rescue band. Two friends, they're Dutch, but they're Jewish Dutch people. And they were living in Germany. And they had this huge cultural center, was their home. So like 4 or 5 floors with all these beds for music shows from all over the world. And they're classical musicians. So they would have all these workshops and things in their cultural center. And but with COVID, there was no one there. So we did these live streams every Sunday. We would build multiple sets on one floor, and the kids were involved, their son, my river, and we would just have fun. It was really crazy, and we drank so much wine. That's all we could do.
Oh,
So we drank wine, we made music, we ate amazing food, and yeah, that's all we did. And of course, I had to homeschool River, so that was challenging. But yeah, that's
I'm
what we did. We
sure.
spent
Yeah.
2 years making music. It was really
Wow.
great.
That's
Yeah,
and now you've got a couple more months of the legendary Women of Rock. You're doing the
right.
theater tour, and then you're back to music festivals this summer.
In the summer, I have a few festivals, and then I get back to the reprise show of the
Okay.
legendary Women of Rock. I have 30 shows booked already in 3 months.
Wow.
And then I start in January rehearsals for another theater show with another theater show. It's not my show,
Okay.
I'm a guest singer. And then when that's finished, I start my next legendary da da da. I'm not giving it away because people
All right.
stealing my ideas all the time.
Yeah.
So, but I'm so looking forward to the next one. It's gonna kick this one's ass. Really, it's
Oh
amazing.
man. Are you taking the
So
shows to the U.S. at all?
I really would love to, but I don't have a an agent over there. I mean, I really would love to, but logistically, traveling with the whole band, I have my own
Yep.
sound engineer, and we're a small crew. I have to say, I've intentionally kept it really small. Most theater acts are really big bands, 10 to
Right.
18 musicians. I have my three-piece trio and myself, and one guy who does front of house, and stage sound and the lighting. So in
Oh
all,
wow.
we're a crew of 5.
Nice.
So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's very good. But behind the scenes, there's a much bigger crew. But it's a great production. But still, financially, it'll be really hard for me to pull that off unless
Sure.
I do another
Yeah.
crowdfunder. And I don't like
That's
asking people for money and for help. It helped a lot in the past, but
yeah.
the world is in such a mess now. I feel like I'm gonna go ask money for this when I should be asking money to help all the children of the world right
Right.
now.
You've always been,
So,
really drawn towards wanting to help the kids. Man, I think that's a beautiful thing.
absolutely.
It's, I
I'm
mean,
busy planning a,
and
a big Christmas show this year, and I do it every year in the city, the next city up, and it's in a big church, and it's also called the Big Church Christmas Show. I've been doing it for years, and this year I'm donating every penny towards the Israel-Palestine
wow.
mess that's going
Yeah.
on. So,
It's tough, man, isn't it, to see that going and just, I mean, good on you for, making,
thanks.
I mean, that is what's
It's not
within your
much,
control.
but yeah, I mean, it's not
But
much, but it might make a few kids' lives a difference.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Isn't it seemed like I talked to other friends that are in, the Netherlands and Denmark and Sweden, getting like cultural grants, from the government to be able to
yeah.
put on certain events like this. Are you able to do some things like that?
I haven't really dug into it that much. I'm pretty sure that I probably could, but within this community where I'm going to do it, they're very much um, aimed at the youth,
Hmm.
giving them grants to record songs, have songs produced. So it'll be a little tougher for me, but I should probably look into that. I was thinking about looking for some sponsors.
Yeah.
Um, it's tough when you tell musicians, like top musicians, that I want you to come play, but I can't pay you.
Right.
Um, yeah, I gotta find the right guys like you. You have heart who will
Yeah.
say, "I'm in." But it's a little bit
It's
tough over here, so different
yeah.
mentality, different mentality. But I should probably look into the grants thing too. Good point. I'm gonna write that out.
There you go. All right, all right, you guys with the deep pockets out there, if you're watching this and you feel like you want to support the amazing
Oh,
endeavors that Delana's got going on,
that's cool of you,
man,
Kevin. That's
I'm
very cool.
really really glad to connect with you again, man. I miss you.
Same
I
here.
absolutely,
Ah,
I love you. I do.
I love you. Geesh, man,
And
I miss you too. I can't believe we had a fight. I don't even remember that.
it wasn't a fight. It was just like stupid, stupid drama.
Yeah,
Two emotional people, and the
yeah.
one thing about being an emotionally driven person, one thing that I've been trying to work on and need to get better at is just uh, I gotta just think down the road. I gotta stop, think instead of just instant reaction. It's just like I'm getting better at it. But when I'm tired, hungry, all that kind of stuff, my my synapses don't fire the way that they should all the time. So,
I
but
totally understand. I really
I've
do.
never lost any respect, and I'm grateful that finding that we had mutual friends and Paul Antonelli,
Paul,
another freaking beautiful human
my
being,
darling,
and
yes, the
and
best.
I
I'm
talking
I'm so
to other
happy
mutual friends.
reconnected too.
Yeah,
Thanks to Paul. How did you guys even come on to talking about me? Like, was that in the show
well,
or was?
no, well, you know what? The funny thing is, when I was playing with you, doing those shows with you, I had been with Animotion for like 10 years at that point, and Paul was the original
That's
keyboardist for
right.
Animotion. Yeah,
That's
so
true.
at that point we had talked about it a little bit, and then I started playing with a flock of seagulls like little over 8 years ago, and I would see Paul, and he's like, "It's a shame that you're not with Bill anymore, but I see that you might know my friend Dilana," and I thought, "Oh my God, a small world." And we have so
Wow.
many mutual friends, so
You
many.
would
But I
do,
mean,
but who knew Paul?
yeah, that was a funny one, and in
Crazy, huh?
talking, we talked about Rockstar, and you talked about the audition process and doing the show. Nate Morton has become one of my favorite people on the planet. We're dear, dear friends,
Really?
and he's got such fun stories about working like with you and Paul Merkovich and and
Oh,
Sasha and
really?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes, Delana
uh,
stories.
yeah, of course, man. Well, I've gone to The Voice where
Ah,
they're all the same band, right? That they're a house band on The Voice,
right.
not in the U.S. And
Yeah.
it's almost all the same guys. I think Sasha's out with different people now,
Pink.
but Pink, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sasha and Justin Derrico, God, amazing, those two guys.
Oh, man. Sasha.
But but
Oi.
Nate was talking about the different personalities in uh, how in the Rockstar in Excess and then Rockstar Supernova, how that translated into The Voice, how the
Wow.
personalities that they took from the artists, those early Mark Burnett shows, he said they would then try to draw personalities like that out of the judges on the shows. So when they would have like the
Ah,
Christina Aguileras and other people
right.
that would be extra dramatic, right? Because
That
it's
would,
TV,
yes,
you know.
exactly. Yes.
But
Raise the
but
viewership numbers. I
do you
totally
still
get
stay in
that.
touch with any of like the judges from Supernova? Like do you Newstead or Tommy or any of them?
No, not at all. I mean, who every now and again, no, he wasn't a judge. I was going to say the bass player that used to be the bass, that was like the next bass player for the Black Crows, who then took Jason's place on the tour.
Oh,
What's
right.
his name now? Jesus, I wrote two songs with
Oh,
him that are on my record.
that's all right.
Oh my God,
It's late
I have
there.
like the worst. It is late, yes.
Yeah.
But I keep a little, and every now and again, Lucas and I will touch base, or Tobes and I. But that's about it.
Yeah, Toby. Yeah, Toby Rad,
Yeah,
man. What an amazing.
Toby,
But,
such a
yeah,
cool guy.
you toured together a little bit too, right?
No, we didn't. We never. We wanted to. I tried to
Okay.
get Toby and Lucas and Storm together because Magni is
Yeah.
all the way in Iceland. That would be impossible. But I thought if we could just do a little run and have fun with each other, but it's impossible,
Yeah.
especially Storm. She's like crazy busy.
She is.
Um,
She just played Portland this weekend.
she's doing well, huh? Oh my God,
Yeah, she's doing well. Yeah, just
so
like you, man.
amazing.
Just kicking ass.
Yeah.
I well, maybe we can do I'll see if I can round up a bunch of these guys. We'll do an all access live where I can get you and Toby and
Oh,
Lucas and Storm, and It'd be fun
Oh
to
my
have,
God, that
round
would be
robin.
so cool.
You
Oh,
and
that would
Steph do
be
the yoga
awesome.
together. That I
Totally.
yeah, man, that was a fun. That show was amazing, and
Oh, it
and
was
the
so
musicians know
cool.
too. The house band was freaking ridiculous, man. I would watch it just
Amazing. Yeah.
just to see the guys slaying. And
Just
Eric
so cool,
Aldenius,
man.
you were working with Eric after that, like, and now
Eric.
he's been up. Yep,
Yeah,
yeah.
my ex. Yeah, Eric.
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
even realize you guys were together. I mean, I knew he was
Oh,
playing drums for
really?
you, and right, yeah, but
Oh, yeah. We were
I
engaged, dude.
oh well,
I dumped his
congratulations.
ass in New York at the freaking. Yeah,
That
I dumped his ass in Central Park and got a tattoo to prove it. But
oh my
no,
god.
we still keep in touch. No, he's cool. He's married now to some girl.
Okay.
But every now and again we'll keep in touch. More about joking things and
Yeah.
yeah. But he's doing well too, huh? With Billy Idol,
Yeah.
he's doing fantastic.
Billy Idol's like, yeah, man, it's as big as he ever was right now. It's kind of cool to see, the dude.
I
He's
love
he's
it.
yeah, yeah, me too.
He's
Yeah,
doing
he's got a
so
good
great.
gig.
Yeah, he has
Well,
a great gig.
hopefully, like one of these financiers can get you together where they can support a tour and get you over. Because I know people in the States miss you. They do. We all miss you.
Yeah, me too. I miss people. Just hard to
I'm
get
there a
away with
lot.
the river being at school too.
I'll bet.
I have the summer vacation, but like this summer, I already have so many shows here that I don't even know if I can get away to get to the States.
Yeah.
So
So,
I'm thinking I might have to make it December, but then I'll have maybe 2 weeks because then River has to go back to school again. It's pretty tough.
hopefully the fall, the new move will, bring kind of a change for her and
I hope so.
for both of you guys. I mean, I know it's nice to have a little bit of culture around. If you're stuck in a farming town, like I'm saying this, looking around the town of less than 1,000 that I'm in right now, and
Are you
man,
serious?
yep, yep,
But
yep.
there's
But
nothing
you
wrong
you
with
do what
it, as long as the people are a community and they love each other and support each other and they help each other. But here, River and I've been outsiders since day one, except for my
well.
amazing neighbors and a friend of mine, Sandra Smith, who is always there for me. But
I see
it's
her in the
like,
chat right here. Thank you, Sandra, for looking out for Delana. I see you in the chat,
is
and
she in the
and
chat?
she is. Yep,
Oh
yep.
yeah, she said
Yeah,
love you. Hi, Sandra.
that
And
is nice.
oh, Dominica Gerrits is there, another amazing, beautiful girl here in Holland who's starting
And
her own singing career.
oh,
And
are you? Do you teach at all?
no,
Do you
I've
get?
I've given a few lessons, but I refuse to um, teach my own methods because they just
Yeah,
happen. So I don't know how to
sure.
teach them. I love to teach artist development. I would love to get into that, styling, attitude on stage, being fearless and how to use your voice, but not in a technical way.
Yeah,
I'm not the technical person for myself, yes, but not for others. So I can definitely teach about dynamic and emotion and yeah, wardrobe and just the movements that you make, the body language, the facial expression, stuff like that. I would love to do
yeah,
that with young
man.
bands or upcoming artists. So yeah, maybe that'll
That'll
be
that'll.
something.
There's your retirement plan. So you and Pink can sit.
Delana
You
does
and you and
theater.
you and Pink can sit down and teach the girls of the world, how
That's
to
right.
how to stand up and take names. Yeah.
That would be so
God.
awesome. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Well, listen, sister. I am so grateful for you guys. If you got here
And
late,
I for you.
go look at DelanaRocks.com. There's a ton of tour dates out there, and you got to see her in the theater. I hope to get to see that one soon. And
I hope so.
yeah, man.
I hope so.
I,
That'd be cool. I just need to get an agent in the States who can get me some really cool gigs and that'll pay the costs, cover the costs. And maybe
yeah,
then, hey,
Pat
hey,
Flanagan. Good to see you here too, man. Yeah, that Pat is a phenomenal artist
hey,
up
Pat
in Seattle
Flanagan.
area. He
Okay.
just came out with
I actually know the name Pat Flanagan.
he yeah, he's got a new magazine, Novum Artis, and did a
Okay.
little showcase of my pops and his debut issue. So thank you for that, Pat.
Very
Appreciate
nice.
that.
But I think I've met
Well,
Pat.
I'll bet you have up
Anyway,
in Seattle.
yeah, he's a
Yeah, maybe.
photographer.
Yep, yep, for sure.
Rings a
Yeah,
bell, but maybe not.
you made a lot of
Kevin,
people, but I know.
I
Yeah,
do.
thank you so
Been
much for
awesome,
sharing your
darling.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your time and your heart, and thank you for the shout outs. And I want to tell everybody to keep listening to my metal Kev over here. And did I say that right?
Yeah, Kevin Metal. Yeah,
Kevin
yeah.
Metal.
There you go. Yeah, but Metal Kev is good too, man. That's
You know what's funny? I got to just add this last thing. Kevin Metal. That's funny because I bought the Chevy Metal van from Taylor Hawkins,
you did
and
not.
yeah,
You
I
bought
own the
it.
Chevy Metal van. And
Wow.
Kevy Metal, Chevy Metal, but I had to sell
Yeah.
it. I moved it all the way out here, and they totally fucked the thing up. It was
Ah.
so traumatic for me. When I think about it, I get upset. But I got rid of it eventually. But I was the very, very proud owner of the Chevy Metal van.
Wow. I just
Yeah.
saw that band decided to continue on with Shane, with Taylor's son. And
Oh yeah.
so that's I mean, you knew Taylor. Is River there?
Yes. Yeah. Went for a lesson on geography.
How you
Oh,
doing? Nice to see you,
can
River.
you see her?
The last time, yep, I can see her. The last
Sorry,
time
my
I saw
phone was ringing
you,
on my
you were,
laptop. Hi.
yep, I can see it. You were a tiny little baby the
Oh,
last time
wait a
I saw
minute.
you.
Oh gosh, now I can't even hear you anymore,
Oh yeah,
Kev. That's so
you
weird.
can't.
I lost
It,
you. I don't know what
can you hear me
happened.
now? Can you hear me? I can hear
My
you.
mic's still on.
Yeah. I,
Hello?
I,
Are you there?
yeah, I can hear
Hmm.
you. Can you hear me?
I can't say anything. I can't hear you. But this is Rivers.
Hi.
Hi,
And
how you
I
doing?
think you wanted to say bye. Thank you.
Yeah,
I love you. And until
Dilana,
the
thank
next
you.
time, huh?
It's good to see you.
I
Thanks,
can't hear
everybody.
you. Oh,
Okay,
you
all right.
can't hear me.
Ha- Have a beautiful day, you guys. Thank you for being here. If you got here late, go
Hallo
back
mijn
and check
liefje.
this from the beginning.
Mag ik
Subscribe to
dat
the
even?
channel,
Nee, we gaan nu
and
slapen.
Mag ik een beetje zo
you'll
veranderen?
be notified the next episode.